Hi, this is John with John Mac Arms. I just want to kind of do a little quick review over disassembly, reassembly of the Walther CCP single stack 9mm that came out earlier this year. Just real quick safety check. There is no mag. The chamber is empty and clear. Walther does send a takedown tool, little piece of plastic with a bump on the end to help take it apart. This is like a lot of striker fires. You have to decock it by pulling the trigger. On the back side, there's a little piece of metal. It's bright compared to the rest of it around it. There's actually a hook on the inside of the frame. So the whole concept with the Walther tool is to get this little indentation, get the little point under here and lift up at the same time you're pulling back and up on the slide. It's really not as complicated as a lot of the videos make it out to be. After just a couple of tries, you can figure out how to do it pretty easy. This was a customer's gun. He brought me. He did not like the trigger on, and he said it was gritty. I'll see if the camera can pick it up. It's a little gritty. This is not like your typical single stack or like your Glock or your M&P or XD. The barrel is fastened to the frame. There's two pins that hold the barrel block and assembly in place, and one pin that holds the back and the rest of the springs and detents and everything else that helps make the trigger go. It does have a trigger bar similar to your Glocks, your XDs. There's several parts of this trigger that are kind of making it gritty. There's actually a detent and a spring on the back side of the trigger to help with the reset. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it's back in there. There's also right where this, grab something to play with here. This little barrel rotates, and there's another spring and a detent holding that down. There's a spring under each one of these little levers and a pin that holds the whole assembly in. And as you can see, if the camera can pick it up, right through here on the back side is the top side of that barrel, and it moves when the trigger is pulled. That is all the parts that go to this gun. I did not look up the schematics to get the proper names for all these things. And just like anything else, if you take something apart, be prepared to either put it back or to pay somebody to put it back for you. This is just an informational video. Doing this to some guns can undo any warranties that came with it. To take this thing down further, there's a pin here, drive them both out. This will lift almost straight up. Pop this pin out, and this too will lift almost straight up. You have to get the safety out of the way first to rotate the safety up. I'm going to go ahead and start taking it apart off camera since the camera's kind of in my way and the battery's dying, and we'll see if we can't get all the pieces out and take a closer look at them. The only thing I've done so far is just pulled the pins out. I haven't done anything else so far, just pulled the pins out. I'll go ahead and get the safety, flip it up, and just kind of wiggle it back and forth a little bit, and it'll come loose. Set this off to the side. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull straight up onto the barrel assembly. The trigger bar is only held on by a little bit, and so is the slide catch. So when you start to pull this up, those two might come off. You just have to be kind of careful you don't lose it. There's no other springs or anything else to it. Okay, I'm going to pull off the slide catch. I'm going to pull off the trigger bar, and here's your barrel assembly trigger. I'll put this right here. Let me go ahead and get the trigger bar out of the way. There is a detent and a spring. The detent just fell out the mag. Detent that holds the trigger bar in the up position when it's working, and the trigger bar just kind of comes out. This trigger bar might look a little different. I have spent some time polishing it to try to get some of the grittiness out of the feel. It is stamped steel, so polishing it up really well should help a little bit if you have a gritty feeling. I'll set that off to the side. The spring for the detent that's underneath the trigger bar is still in the frame. It really shouldn't go anywhere, so I'm just going to kind of leave it there. And then the back end comes up as well. Sometimes it's a little sticky. Grab a pin and just kind of pry up a little bit on the frame. And there we go. Now the back end's out. Now the only thing that's left inside the frame is the magazine, which I don't think it's held in by much, if anything at all. But we're going to go ahead and set this off since we don't have anything else to do with the frame right now. Inside the back, this is the barrel that rolls. In through here is the detent and the spring, and this is what functions, what gives the resistance and the grittiness to the trigger. This barrel is held in place. There's a pin right here that holds both of these down. These both have springs underneath them, and then there's a pin that holds this in. All that needs to come out in order for this barrel to come out. But again, there is a spring and a detent right here. If you pull this stuff out and you're not paying attention, it is a tiny detent. Getting lost in the spring as well will make this very hard to put it back together and get it to function. This is the hook. When it's inside the frame, this is a hook that requires a special tool. This is the reason why, that special tool to take it down. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for a second, pop out a couple more pins, and I'll show you what it looks like coming apart. Okay, I got all the pieces out outside of the block that's in the rear of the receiver. This is why I suggest taking it to a gunsmith. There is 2 pins, there's 3 springs, there's a detent, there's 3 pieces. You need to make sure they're orientated in the correct way. And this is the barrel that actually, the groove on the trigger bar sits here and pulls on it and causes it to move the pieces on the inside of the rest of the pieces that are sitting on the desk. I went ahead and polished this up. This is where one of the detents sit. Polished this up as well as I could, provided how small the space is. I'm going to go ahead and reassemble it again. This better left for the professionals, so I'm not going to film putting it back together. There is a lot of small pieces, like I said, that all need to go back in here in the correct way, in the correct manner. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video real quick. I'll slap this back together and then we'll start reassembly of the gun. Alright, I went ahead and polished up what I thought would help with the grittiness of the trigger and reassembled the rest of it in the rear housing. Again, I'm not sure on the exact terms of things. I didn't bother looking up the schematics. The one thing that was kind of interesting with this pistol was the magazine release could be switched from left to right for right-handed, left-handed shooters. I don't know if the camera could pick it up, but way down in the magazine release there's actually a hole. This one's a little bit on the right-hand side of the pistol frame, and that pin that's sticking down from the barrel assembly needs to hit that hole. To go ahead and reassemble this, I'm going to stick the back half in first. It just snaps down. Make sure the hole lines up for where your pin's going to go. And then for the barrel, I like to try to start this a little bit. And then I need to put the slide catch back on. Hold it with one thumb, flip it over, grab the trigger bar assembly, slide that under here, and then on top of the pin from the trigger assembly, like that. The only thing we've got left to put in is the detent that sits underneath the trigger bar. Alright, I've got the pin back where it's supposed to go. I kind of face it backwards, push down on the whole assembly, and there it goes. Like I said, there's the pin down inside. Camera's probably not going to pick it up. I gotta push this little pin that's hanging down over to the hole for the magazine catch, and there it goes. It snapped back into place. Now the only thing left to do is to put the safety back in. There it goes. Now to put the slide back in, again, there's a couple of videos on the internet that make it seem pretty complicated. Put the barrel back inside the spring. I like to hold the whole assembly up, and the recoil bar, or the recoil, I guess it would be bar, has to fall into a pocket right underneath the barrel. So when you're pushing down, line it all the way up, Get the back end where you think it should go. Grab your little Walther tool, pick up on the assembly. Need to bring mine back a little bit more, I guess. Like that. Okay, see how it fell down once? When I press the tool in, it'll snap right in. Nothing to it. Do a function check. Slide lock. Again, the gun's still empty. Slide release, pull the trigger. Fires. Safety on. Nothing happens. There we go. The grittiness of the trigger is pretty much gone. There's still a little bit there, but with the many moving parts that there are, I don't think it'll be completely gone ever. Maybe with a couple dozen more rounds, maybe 100 or so, maybe it'll loosen up a little bit more or smooth out a little bit more, but it is a big difference compared to what it was before. Again, this particular one is not your typical Glock M&P XD. To get into the internals, I really suggest you take this to a trusted gunsmith. There are many small parts. Again, thanks for watching. John Mac Arms. Check me out on Facebook, johnmacarms.com for my website. Let me know if you need any other work done. I'm happy to do it, and maybe even some video suggestions if you have any. Thanks for watching.